Shalom and good evening. Now we're going to read 1 Samuel 26. And the Ziphites came to Shaul at Geba, saying, "Is not God hiding himself in the hill of Haklah, overlooking the wilderness, the wasteland?" And Shaul rose up and went down to the wilderness of Ziph, and with him 3,000 chosen men of Yashrael to seek God in the wilderness of Ziph. And Shaul encamped in the hill of Hakala, overlooking the wasteland by the way, while God was dwelling in the wilderness. And he saw that Shaul came after him into the wilderness. And God sent out spies and learned that Shaul had indeed come. And God rose up and came to the place where Shaul had encamped, and God saw the place where Shaul lay. And Abner, son of Ner, the commander of his army, and Shaul was lying within the enclosure, with the people encamped all around him. And God spoke up and said to Abimelech the Hittite, and to Abishai, son of Sariahu, brother of Joab, saying, "Who goes down with me to Shaul in the camp?" And Abishai said, I go down with you. And God and Abishai came to the people by night, and saw Shaul lying asleep within the camp, and his spear stuck in the ground by his head. And Abner and the people lay all around him. And Abishai said to God, "Yahu'ah has surrendered your enemy into your hand, and this day, and now please let me smite him at once with the spear right into the earth, and not a second time." But God said to Abishai, "Do not destroy him, for who shall stretch out his hand against the anointed of Yahu'ah and be guiltless?" And God also said, "As Yahu'ah lives, except Yahu'ah smites him, or his day come that he shall die, or he shall go out to battle and perish. Far be it from me by Yahu'ah that I stretch out my hand against the anointed of Yahu'ah. And now please take the spear and the jug of water that are by his head, and let us go." So God took the spear and the jug of water by Shaul's head, and they went away. And no man saw it, or knew it, or awoke, for they were all asleep, because a deep sleep from Yahu'ah had fallen on them. And God passed over to the other side, and stood on the top of a hill far away, a great distance between them. And God called out to the people and to Abner, son of Ner, saying, "Do you not answer?" Abner answered and said, "Who are you calling out to the sovereign?" And God said to Abner, "Are you not a man? And who is like you in Yashrael? Then why then have you not guarded your master, the sovereign? For one of the people came in to destroy your master, the sovereign. What have you done is not good. As Yahu'ah lives, you are worthy to die, because you have not guarded your master, the anointed of Yahu'ah. And now see where the sovereign's spear is, and the jug of water that was by his head." And Shaul recognized God's voice, and said, "Is that your voice, my son God?" And God said, "It is my voice, my master, O sovereign." And he said, "Why is it that my master is pursuing his servant? For what have I done or what evil is in my hand? And now please let my master, the sovereign, hear the words of his servant. If Yahu'ah has moved you against me, let him accept an offering. But if it is the children of men, then they are cursed before Yahu'ah, for they have driven me out today, that I should not join myself to the inheritance of Yahu'ah, saying, Go serve other mighty ones. And now do not let my blood fall to the earth before the face of Yahu'ah, for the sovereign of Yashrael has come out to seek a flea, as when one hurts a partridge in the mountains. And Shaul said, I have sinned. Come back, my son Dod, for no more am I going to do evil to you, because my life was precious in your eyes today. See, I have acted foolishly and have greatly strayed. And Dod answered and said, See, the sovereign's spear, and let one of the young men come over and get it. And let Yahu'ah reward every man for his righteousness and for his trustworthiness. For this day Yahu'ah gave you into my hand, but I would not stretch out my hand against the anointed of Yahu'ah. And see, as your life has been valued in my eyes today, so let my life be valued in your eyes, in the eyes of Yahu'ah, and let him deliver me out of all distress. And Shaul said to Dod, Barak are you, my son Dod, achieving much and indeed prevailing. Then Dod went on his way, and Shaul returned to his place. Chapter 27. And Dod said in his heart, Now I shall perish by the hand of Shaul. Some day, and there is not better for me than to escape to the land of the Pelishites. Then Shaul shall give up searching for me any longer in any part of Yashrael, and I shall escape out of his hand. So Dod rose up and passed over with the 600 men who were with him to Achish, son of Maach, sovereign of Gath. And Dod dwelt with Achish at Gath, and he and his men, each man with his household, Dod with his 2 wives, Anaram and Yisraelites, I apologize for the name, and Abigail the Carmelite, Nabal's widow. And it was reported to Shaul that Dod had fled to Gath, so he sought him no more. And Dod said to Achish, If I have now found favor in your eyes, let them give me a place in some town in the country to dwell there. For why should your servant dwell in the royal city with you? And Achish gave him Silach that day. That is why Silach has belonged to the sovereigns of Yehuda to this day. And the time that Dod dwelt in the country of the Pelishites came to be 1 year and 4 months. And Dod and his men went up and raided the Geshurites and the Gizrites and the Amalekites, for those nations were the inhabitants of the land from of old. And you go to Shur, even as far as the land of Misraim. And when Dod had smitten the land, he left neither man nor woman alive, but took away sheep and cattle and donkeys and camels and garments, and returned and came to Achish. And Achish would say, Where have you made a raid today? And Dod would say, Against the south of Yehuda, or against the south of the Yerushalmites, or against the south of the Canaanites. And Dod did not keep alive man nor woman, to bring news to Gath, saying, lest they inform against us, saying, thus Dod did. And this was his practice all the days that he dwelt in the country of the Pelishites. And Achish trusted Dod, saying, he has indeed made himself a stench to his people in Yashrael, and has become my servant forever. Chapter 28. And it came to be in those days that the Pelishites gathered their armies for battle to fight with Yashrael. And Achish said to Dod, you know, of course, that you are to go out with me in the army, you and your men. And Dod said to Achish, very well, you shall know what your servant should do. And Achish said to Dod, very well, I make you one of my chief guardians forever. And Shemuel had died, and all Yashrael had mourned for him and buried him in Ramah, in his own city. And Shaul had put away the mediums and the spirits from the land. And the Pelishites were gathered and came and encamped at Shunem, and Shaul gathered all Yashrael, and they encamped at Gilboa. And when Shaul saw the army of the Pelishites, he was afraid, and his heart trembled greatly. And Shaul inquired of Yahu'ah, but Yahu'ah did not answer him, either by dreams or by Urim or by the Nebiim. Shaul then said to his servants, find me a woman who is a medium, and go to her and inquire of her. And his servants said to him, look, there is a woman who is a medium at Arendor. And Shaul disguised himself and put on other garments and went, he and 2 men with him, and they came to the woman by night. And he said, please divine for me and bring up for me the one I shall name. But the woman said to him, look, you know what Shaul has done, how he has cut off the mediums and the spiritists from the land. Why then you lay a snare for my life to put me to death? And Shaul swore to her by Yahu'ah, saying, as Yahu'ah lives, no punishment comes upon you for this matter. And the woman said, whom do I bring up for you? So he said, bring up Shemuel for me. And when the woman saw Shemuel, she cried out with a loud voice, and said, the woman spoke to Shaul, saying, why have you deceived me? You yourself are Shaul. And the sovereign said to her, do not be afraid. What did you see? And the woman said to Shaul, I saw a spirit coming up out of the earth. And he said to her, what is his form? And she said, an old man is coming up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Shaul knew that it was Shemuel, and he bowed with his face to the ground and did obeisance. And Shemuel said to Shaul, why have you disturbed me by bringing me up? And Shaul answered, I am deeply distressed, for the Pelishites are fighting against me, and Yahu'ah has turned aside from me and does not answer me any more, neither by Nebium nor by dreams. So I have called you to reveal to me what I should do. Then Shemuel said, and why do you ask me, seeing Yahu'ah has turned aside from you and has become your enemy? And Yahu'ah has done for himself as he spoke by me. For Yahu'ah has torn the rein out of your hand and given it to your neighbor, to Dod. Because you did not obey the voice of Yahu'ah, nor execute his burning wrath upon Amalek, therefore Yahu'ah has done this matter to you today. But Yahu'ah also gives Yashrael with you into the hand of the Pelishites, and tomorrow you and your sons are with me. Yahu'ah also gives the army of Yashrael into the hand of the Pelishites. And immediately Shaul fell to the ground, his complete length, and greatly feared because of the words of Shemuel. And there was no strength in him, and for he had eaten no food all day or night. And the woman came to Shaul and saw that he had been greatly disturbed, and said to him, See, your female servant has obeyed your voice, and I have put my life in my hands, and have listened to the words which you spoke to me. And now please listen to the voice of your female servant too, and let me put a piece of bread before you, and eat, so that you have strength when you go on your way. But he refused and said, I am not going to eat. But his servants, together with the woman, urged him, and he listened to their voice. So he rose from the ground and sat on the bed. And the woman had a fattened calf in the house, and she quickly slaughtered it. And she took flour and kneaded it, and baked unleavened bread from it. And she brought it before Shaul and his servants, and they ate, and rose up and went away that night.